residential realtor going on 20 years, full-time in Northern Virginia. 50 years old. I moved down from Pennsylvania when I was a year old, so 49 years. I've seen Loudoun, Fairfax, Prince William counties just change, explode. I can tell you on Route 7 and Route 28 were one lanes each way. So I've seen this area definitely change and grow, I think for the better.
That's awesome. How did you get your foot into real estate? How did that come about?
My mom was in new home sales since I was 10 when she started. So I kind of grew up, she would be in a sales model or even a sales trailer if the model wasn't ready. Went through college, graduated college, and she was like, all right, come work with me. And I said, I love you, but no. I'm like, I'm 23. I don't want to work weekends. I want to be able to go out of town, have fun with my friends, do whatever I want. And then I think about 7, 8 years later is when I got into real estate. And here I am working weekends, crazy hours. But I love it. I don't miss the corporate world at all. I think you really get out of real estate what you put into it. So if you work hard and you do well for your clients, it pays off very handily.
On that note of real estate agents working hard and helping their clients, what are some of the character traits or personalities that you think clients are looking for when they're trying to work with a real estate agent when finding or selling a home?
It can be interesting. You have to kind of read your clients within the first few minutes of walking in the door. Are they type A? Are they more easygoing? Is this their first sale? Have they done this 5, 6, 7 times? What do they look for in an agent? So when I meet them, I usually have a conversation prior, more so just to talk to them, get their wants and needs. As I was coming here, I have an appointment set up for maybe next week out in Prince William County. And I was talking to her. She's like, I've been in my house for 23 years. I'm the original owner. So she's like, I've got a lot of stuff.
Wow.
This is going to take me time to get the house on the market. So those are things that I know going in, how to talk and deal with them, because she has a lot of emotion tied up in that house. That's where she brought her kids home from the hospital. And so I've seen it where, people are really emotionally tied to the home, and I've got other people that are like, it's a business transaction. My goal is to get them the most amount of money, shortest time frame possible, least amount of contingencies, and onto their next property.
Wow, so it sounds like you got to know psychologically how to deal with people. That's amazing.
I mean, they always say realtors hold many hats. You're psychiatrist, they ask you for, hey, you've been here for so long, do you have doctor recommendations? Do you know where there's kids parks? Like, what can we do? People that move into the area who don't know it, and then the ones that are moving out, they're moving out for a reason. And in this current market, we're not having a lot of houses on the market, and usually it's a lot of relocation out of the area. We are, Northern Virginia is a big area. It's government contracting, major corporations, unemployment's low here, schools are great. So we usually have more people moving into the area. And I think especially with the rates being so low in 2021 and early 22 is people that got that 2.5% to 3% interest rate, it's hard for them to sell.
Yeah.
And a lot of my recent sales have either been retirees or relocation, because it's the reason that they're leaving. It's not like they're selling a home and staying here, buying another one, because the rates are a little bit higher right now. We're talking about mid-6s versus 2.5% to 3%. That's a big jump.
It sure is.
Yeah.
What are some of the changes that you've seen here in Loudoun County, for better or for worse?
I mean, everybody always talks about, I grew up in the area, and I remember there were green bumper stickers on the back of cars that say, don't Fairfax Loudoun, because they didn't want it overpopulated. And you're talking I remember in this area, there was so many farms in the area.
This is rural, kind of?
My high school, I went to Broadmoor High School. It was called Cornfield High. After my first year, they got rid of the cornfields and put in sod farms. And the reason being, new home construction. And so you can grow grass in 5, 6 weeks, cut it, put it on the new homes, grow it again. And so that's what was happening. So Cornfield High kind of disappeared not long after I was there.
Yeah.
But,
did that make you sad?
Yes and no. I mean, you still love to see the farms and everybody's in a community and the next farmer sells. But at some point, maybe that farmer's ready to retire, and it's time for them to say, look, I've put in all this time, energy, hard work for years and years and years. This is my opportunity to kind of move on to the next phase of my life. But it is nice when you get into Western Loudoun, you go through the hills, you see some of the old barns, and
fresh air.
It's fresh air, and then there's Leesburg has changed dramatically. I mean, downtown Leesburg has been revitalized in the last 8 to 10 years with the shopping and the restaurants and the breweries and things like that pop up. So it's different. Like I said, I grew up in Loudoun County. There's only 4 high schools in the county when I graduated from high school, and now you're talking 18 to 19.
Wow, that's a big jump there.
You see it in the population, obviously, and it's. I think growth is good. Businesses, people thrive from growth, and I think that's why Leesburg is actually really doing well, and other areas of the county as well.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, it's ever growing here in Northern Virginia. I feel like people always want to come here. We're like running out of like real estate for them to
We
go.
are running out of real estate. I mean, what's happened to me was Ashburn. When I lived in Sterling, Ashburn Village and Ashburn Farm were like cities that were dropped in the middle of woods. And then Ashburn's just growing. Broadlands, Brambleton, moving out to Leesburg, Percival, Round Hill. And then now everything's even getting more out in those areas, but then it's moving to Prince William County as well. Because they had more land and farmland too. So we're seeing, and now everybody's talking data centers, right? So
Yes, that's a big one. Yes.
you know, they're not the prettiest. They do bring in tax revenue, but you know, a lot of people say, well, what's going to happen when these things aren't needed in 15, 20 years because the technology is always changing.
Changing, that's
You never know. They could turn into apartments. They could turn into sports courts for kids. You can turn in everything, tear it down, rebuild.
That's right.
Theoretically, they're big shells. You know, they're big and tall, but they're just basically shells. And then you can keep what's there, or if you have to tear it down and rebuild to whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it does help the economy in the county. So we have to kind of deal with it. I think there's too many of them going on, and there's more in the pipeline that we don't even know about.
Oh my.
We'll start seeing them hit.
Like what?
Well, I mean, there's, you know, everything takes, like, they bought land years ago. You know, it has to go through the development stage and get through a different permitting process, and then boom, next thing you know, it's like, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because it's a shell, really. I mean, once they get that shell up, then they get everything going in, and power supply issues, and they're talking about, you know, we can't get enough electricity out in time.
Man.
So there's always something, but again, it's,
Yeah.
you know, data centers don't really have a lot of employees. So they do when they're building it, but once they're set, it's not like for example, the old AOL building that's is being demolished. I used to work at AOL way back in the day.
Oh my gosh,
and
you've
so
got mail.
that's being developed, knocking it down and rebuilding. So, you know, things change over time. I mean, not everything is always going to be around.
That is true.
So
I guess I'm very nostalgic sometimes. Like, that's why I ask you, like, are you sad about that? Because in my head, I'm like, I would kind of be sad because my memories. But you're right. I like that you are very much into, like, change and growth and, like, always looking at, like, the good side. Sometimes I can be like,
yeah. But I
this.
remember when, or you say, I remember when this area was that. I mean, I'll see old pictures every once in a while. I was like, man, I forgot about that. I mean, there was never a traffic light or never an overpass at 7 and 28. And I can tell you that because I was in a car accident at 7.
Oh my goodness.
So it wasn't my fault.
Okay.
But that now it's like I drive past, I'm like, I remember that every time I go through there because when 28 comes into 7, I was like, that's where my accident was. But now overpasses are everywhere. We're getting rid of traffic lights to ease traffic flow. But what's going to happen is you're going to catch up to some traffic lights sooner or later. But,
That's right.
you know, a lot of people stay in the Ashburn-Leesburg area if they drive around, so it makes it a little bit easy to navigate.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, traffic around here is always a nightmare.
Yes, and I feel like it's only going to get worse. I wonder if they're going to build more roads because we're having more people come in. That would be great because if not,
Building more like arteries away from like 7 and 28
Yeah.
and the Greenway, but it's to alleviate some of the traffic on those areas, so it'll spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, we're in Northern Virginia.
yes,
traffic everywhere.
you're right. You're right. We're becoming the new LA with like apparently they have really bad traffic too. So hope we're ready for that. But how are you keeping up with some of the trends as far as the real estate market goes with developments and all of that?
It's a lot of technology. You know, I'm pretty fortunate. My company is always at the forefront of technology. Century 21, parent company's largest real estate company in the world. So, you know, coming with that, my company, we get the brand and, you know, we get what technology is coming out. And sometimes the newest technology is not always the best. You know, you have to see what works for you. And, you know, there's always things like, hey, okay, we've been doing this for 3 years. This is the newest thing out. And more people are gravitating to it, but maybe that doesn't work. You get into it after a year or two and say, you know what, this doesn't work. This older product worked better. But it's how we connect and engage with our clients and how we grow our business. Everybody's different. Like, my craziest year was 2016. I had 72 transactions, and I'm an individual agent.
Wow.
And I honestly was working 16, 18-hour days for the first 8, 9 months. I don't remember. Like, and I told myself, I don't want to be like that again. I narrowed myself from that point forward, 35 to 50. That's where my comfort is. 35 to 50 transactions. That's where I'm happiest. That still gives me time to enjoy my wife, my kids, go on vacations, and kind of just re-energize.
And for anybody right now who's going through that hustle right now, working those 16 to 18-hour days, what advice would you give them? And how did you get through that? How did you push? Because I know it takes a lot of hard work.
It does. I was at a different stage in my life at that point. I was single. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. I do know agents that are married and have kids, and you know that's how we're wired. I mean, I grew up. My parents were hard workers, and they kind of distilled that on me. And they say, you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. If you work hard, you're going to do well, you're going to get rewards. And I'm not in it for the rewards, but everybody says, like, you do so much. I'm like, I just work. And I feel like when I'm not working, I'm bored. I'll drive my wife crazy now. We've been married almost 5 years. We have 2 little boys, but
Oh,
it's, I'm just driven and I'm motivated. And I like the work. It's weird because corporate world, I was like, 5 o'clock, can we go? And now it's like, I'll be in appointments and I'm like, oh, that didn't seem like it was 3 hours. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, after that, I go to my next appointment. And at some point, I got to get in front of the computer on my phone to catch up on all my past work. So, it's just a life change is when I was like getting to that phase. I was like, I kind of got burned out, but I really love real estate.
yeah.
And I tell people, I don't just sell real estate, meaning I don't help people just buy and sell real estate. I'm actually an investor in real estate. And I own 11 properties. So it's something that I believe in. And so, I'm not going to do this forever. Like I said, I'm 50. My goal is maybe 10 to 15 more years at most, but I think 10. And by that point, all my properties will be paid off, hopefully. And when I retire, I can live off that rental income.
Yeah.
If I need to, I can sell a property too. I invest my money as well. So I've got a good portfolio, but I don't just sell a real estate. I don't just work it. I believe in it and I invest in it.
Yeah, and you do it yourself. You've got that experience, so you can talk behind what you're saying.
Exactly. And I meet clients and I'm like, sometimes I lose business by saying, why don't you hold on to this home when you buy your other house? And some people want to do it and they try it. And after a year or two, like, no, bad experiences. You start, HVAC systems start going, roofs, water heaters, they start getting expensive. Or there comes a point where like, we just want to get the money out. So it's not for everybody. I do my own property management versus hiring a property management company because I've been here for so long. I have so many contacts.
Yeah.
I know owners of HVAC companies, plumbing companies, roofing companies. I've got connections. So if anything ever goes wrong with my homes, I know who to call directly because I provided them business that they're going to say, okay, we're going to make sure we get out to you same day or the very next day and take care of it. So I love real estate. I mean, I think
it shows.
It's a passion, right? And I never thought when I got into it, I'd become an investor, but it became kind of addicting. And I got the 10 homes. I was like, okay, I'm done. And then I had another one like a year and a half.
Okay, one more.
Yeah, I did. I had another one that fell just right into my lap. It was a good opportunity. It was a single dad with a son. It's only 2 years old. I'm like, okay, 2-year-old home. I'm not going to have those issues of an HVAC or water heater breaking in the next couple of years because those are your big ticket items. So as an investor, you actually have to plan for these things to happen. You have to have the money that if it happens. And one time,
it's a good
within
point.
a 6-week period of time, I had 2 HVAC systems I had to replace. So a little expensive, but there you go. It's something that you have to prepare for. But I will say, you buy the house at this price point.
Yeah.
You put somebody in who's renting your home. They're paying down your mortgage. Property values are going up. How is that not a win-win?
No, that's a win-win right there.
I always say I'll tell my clients, like, have you ever thought about keeping it? And they'll say, no, we want the money from one into the next, or tell me more. And I am an investor, so I may lose 2 transactions, but I do gain the one, and then they believe in me. Trust me, I'm not just pushing and selling real estate. Like, if it makes sense for you to keep it, let's talk about it. That's my thing.
I love that you put that with your clients. Not put that, that's terribly worded, but I love that you tell your clients that and let them know, even if it means that you are going to lose that sale.
Right.
That means you want them to trust. How important is it for you to build and retain those relationships with your clients?
So being 20 years into this, this September will be 20 years, and
Congratulations.
I know that because when I got into real estate and I took my license, I passed everything. I met with a broker at the company that I was previously with, and the real estate meetings are always Tuesdays at 10 a.m. That's when the sales meetings were.
Yeah.
And I was meeting with him, and I said, ooh. And he said, what's wrong? I said, well, I'm a Redskins fan. I have Redskins Cowboys Monday night football tickets. And he goes, I'll see you at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. I said, okay, I'm going to like working for you. And he was a great guy. And I did enjoy working with him. Unfortunately, he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
But yeah, I just always remember it was September 27th, 2004 was that football game.
Yeah.
The very next day is when I started my real estate career.
Oh my
I'll
goodness.
never forget it. That's the day after my birthday, 20 years this year. So
That's beautiful.
yeah. So it's like building, like I said, for 20 years, most of my business, and I will tell you, 93 to 95% of my business is repeat clients and referral. Those are your big pipelines. So I think when you take care of your clients and you do right by them, that they're going to trust you and they're going to refer you out. And, that's great on me and it's great for my business, but also for my family. And it's that trust that we have. And, I still had, like 2 weeks ago, I had a client, they referred me family members and friends that they always reach out to me. Hey, we need an electrician, or now we need a plumber. Who do you recommend? So I don't want to just be like for buying and selling. I want to be their resource. And even if it's people who move to the area, like, we don't know anything around here.
You're like a little hub.
Where do we go for like a nice dinner? Where do we go for, we need a pediatrician, we need this, that, like, come to me, because I want to be your source. I want to be your connection for the area and for growing, what you're here for. But it's literally 92 to 95% is repeat referral. And then the other 5% or so comes from my own marketing advertising, but also from my company. I am Relo certified.
Yeah.
So relocation certified, been doing it for, 13, 14 years now.
Wow.
So, you have to have background checks. We have to have training 3-4 times a year.
Wow.
Sell a certain amount of homes. They don't want just anybody going into somebody's home, because you're dealing with CFOs, CEOs, VPs, HR presidents, things, and just even your standard, like I say standard, but even your managers, people that are moving, you're going into their home. They want to make sure that you are qualified.
Yeah.
It's not just a quote unquote standard agent going. So we do have background checks and all that. And relocation's huge. And the meeting that I talked to you about earlier, the lady that I'm meeting with next week, she's being relocated to North Carolina. So again, it's a big part of this area. People not just leaving, but who are coming in as well. And I think that's another avenue that I can help buyers and sellers work. That if I'm too busy with my own business, I don't have to accept that relocation work. They say, look, my company's great about this. So like, if you're too busy, we'd rather provide it to another agent who may be able to take it on versus you taking it and not putting your best foot forward, all the attention and energy that is needed to do that. So I like it. And it helps my business grow because, the more for sale signs I put in the yard, it goes online, more people see my name, my information, and that's how you grow your business.
Yeah.
It's an organic growth, but it's also hustle. That's, again, my parents were entrepreneurs, they were hard workers, and I saw that. And I just think it rubbed off.
I think it did too.
That's just how I go. And they're like, you get a credit card in college, like, that's fine. But when that bill comes in, you pay it off. If you can't afford to pay it in cash, you don't put it on a credit card. And I've never had like a revolving credit card debt. And I feel like that's huge because I know a lot of friends have gotten in debt.
Yeah.
And again, it just comes from my parents down. And I love it.
That's so great.
It's good. And my 2 boys, 2.5 and 7 months, that hopefully, I'm going to do that same thing for them.
Yeah.
Because I want them to be good kids, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Their kids grow up to be good people, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to, the next change, the next people that are coming through is that, hey, you're the next ones that are going to take our country to the next place. Bring them up right. That's our talk is that in our house is like, raise good boys. So I think every parent does.
Yeah, exactly. No.
I started later in life, so.
You just want to help them too,
I see things a little bit differently than if I had kids at 25, my first son at 48 and 47 and my next one at 49. So it's, you see things differently. You're a little bit more mature, at least hopefully. My wife knows. My wife.
She'll be like,
Yeah, she'll say sometimes. But yeah, so, now my wife and my boys are my big priority. And I think work comes second, but I still like when
that's your passion. Yeah.
And my wife, she is a realtor as well. So she understands like, hey, you got to go work. I've got this. And I think that makes us work well together.
A good team.
Understands the business.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't understand the business, it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
Because I've had appointments at 8:00 at night because they have children. And go to bed. I'm like, okay, I'm flexible. I can come in when they're down. Or is it better to meet in the middle of the day when they're at school, or you can get a 2-hour break for lunch, whatever the case may be. So you got to be flexible in this business.
Yeah.
I got a good friend of mine that he does it part-time. And he's very successful. And he's like, look, I do it up until school's out. When school's out, that's my summer for the kids. We go away. We do everything over the summer. School starts back up. I'll kind of get back into it again. Yeah. It works.
Speaking of that, what do you guys like to do for fun? Like your family or you yourself for leisure?
What was it, 3 years ago? We bought a beach house up in Delaware. So it's close. It's a 3-hour drive. It's very easy to get to. I grew up going to the Outer Banks, and I will say I still love the Outer Banks, but man, is it hard to get to these days.
Yeah.
That 5-hour trip can turn into 6.5 hours, depending on when you leave, traffic, getting in and out. So we found, Delaware would be a great spot. It was a newer property. The people that owned it were second owners. So they were first owners, but there was a second home for them. And they went up there for vacations, and they only sold it because they wanted to build a house. So we have a 4-level townhome up in Delaware, easy drive. I always say the first hour is the Beltway. The next hour is Route 50, and then the last hour is the back roads of Maryland and Delaware just to get to the property. So, my wife can get away with the kids and her sisters and mom. If they want to take a break or, we'll go up. We usually go up 4 solid times a year, and then we go up maybe 2, 3 days.
How
here and
fun.
there. Again, it's an easy drive that if I had that home in North Carolina or anywhere further out, it just wouldn't be that way. So we always go for her birthday in May. We go for a week of friends in June, and we do a couple family trips in July and August. And then we might say, okay, if somebody's not renting it, because we'll leave it out there if somebody wants to rent it. If it's not taken, and I have a couple days off.
Smart, yeah.
Because I can work remotely unless I got to show houses.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we love to go to our beach house because it's, you got Ocean City, Maryland, you got Fenwick, Dewey, Bethany, Rehoboth. Everything that's within our house is 30 minutes to
that's nice.
30 minutes to Rehoboth. So it's an easy, and then where we are is Fenwick, so we can get to the beach at Fenwick in 10, 12 minutes.
Amazing.
So it's nice. Yeah, it's good to have. I love sporting events. We used to do concerts, so we're trying to kind of get back into some concerts.
What concerts did you guys go to?
We're big, we like country concerts.
Okay.
Jiffy Lube, and
That's a good one.
I've been to, oh gosh, what is it? Wolf Trap.
Wolf Trap, yeah.
So, there's some bigger concerts coming up. There's a big concert at Ocean City, Maryland at the end of September, which happens to be my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife's like, those are bands that you knew in like high school and college. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of,
Let's go.
that's what I want to do. And she's like, I'm not so much into them. I said, so guys weekend? She said, yeah. But she goes, I get a girls weekend at the beach. So I said, fair.
Okay. I love that.
I'm looking into doing that too, because I've got a lot of friends that are going to go. So
There you
whether
go.
she ends up coming or we do a guys weekend or something, it's just going to be a fun weekend end of September. So kind of like the end of the summer.
Yes, I love that for you guys.
But yeah, it's sporting events. I say Redskins, now it's Commanders, but
The eye roll.
yeah, it's like it's been 3 names in 3 years.
Yes.
New ownership, so there's new hope, I guess we'll call it. Washington Nationals. I love the Nats. I like going to baseball games.
Yeah, me
Capitals,
too. Yeah.
That's my thing. If I can get away, but now it's time of the boys. So
Yeah.
go walks, we go to playgrounds, things like that. They're younger, so we're gonna watch them grow, and we're gonna do the things that they want to do.
Are there any sports in particular that you're like, yeah, I'm going to sign them up for this?
I grew up playing soccer and baseball.
Oh, do you like watching soccer?
I do. I like going to see soccer more so than watching on TV.
Ah, okay.
It's more of same with baseball. Like I can watch baseball if it's a World Series. But I love going to baseball games. It's the atmosphere. It's
Yes.
like, hey, get a beer, get a hot dog. That. I'm actually very excited to take my son to his first baseball.
Oh, how cute.
I think it may be this year. He'll be 3 in September, but if not, it's definitely going to be next year. I think it'll be something that he would enjoy. I don't think he'll be ready for a football game.
No.
Probably until 10 at the earliest. But teenagers, because football games, let's be honest, can get a little rough.
Yes, they can.
Crowds get a little bit different, and there's certain teams that you don't take your kids to go see, would be Cowboys, Giants, Eagles. That's just the rivalry. So you have to pick and choose, where you would take him. So that would be my thing. But I'm excited to take him to a baseball because he loves sports.
Oh, good.
He was born, and the first day I had him in my arm watching a Penn State football game. I was born.
You remember a lot of things with dates from games.
But here's the thing. He was born, and it was the first baby. He was born Friday, Saturday, laying in my wife's bed because she had to move around. So
Yeah.
I'm holding him and watching a football game. And he'll say football, and he'll see it on TV, and he'll even see a football helmet in football, and then he's kicking a ball. And he's
Okay, that's a
throwing.
sign.
Yeah, he's hopefully he gets into sports.
A little football star.
I grew up playing sports. I think it works well. I think it instills discipline.
Yes.
And gives them an activity to do other than just kind of sitting at home.
Yes, video games. Yes.
Computer, get out, do some different stuff. I grew up different time. Your neighbor's street light came on, the front porch light. That's when you went home.
Yep.
Now it's different. A lot of kids are inside, or the kids are going to other kids playing video games, or they're playing against each other from 2 different homes. Good for them, but I think
Yes.
get out and have a little bit of fun, and we try to do that with our boys. Weather's nice, let's get outside, even if it's in the backyard to run around.
I agree.
There's a great playground in Leesburg now. There's a great new playground, Hal and Bernie Hansen in Ashburn that we'll take the boys to. So it's just fun to kind of get out and have some
Yeah.
fun and just not be in the house all day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you
Fresh air, like
completely.
we said earlier.
Yes, fresh air, very important. And you really are a hub. You're like, oh, a new playground that they just built. Like, you have your eye on everything. You're
Well,
good.
We have friends that live in Leesburg, and they kind of told us about it. My wife heard about it, but we had never been, and we went last weekend with them because their son's 2 months younger than mine.
Okay.
So those are going to be like buddies growing up. They hang out, they have fun. So if we can get together, we went to brunch, we had, some dinner or some brunch and some food, and then we took them to the playground, let them run around, and then it was like, okay, nap time. So we both went
Perfect.
home, and that was it. So, yeah, it's the boys are great. My wife's awesome, and she's
Shout out, wife. Yeah, love that. And she's also in the business too of real estate, so that's great.
She's taking a little time off right now to kind of raise the boys.
Good for her.
She misses it, but you know, she's like, you know, I'd rather raise the boys until we put them in school, and then I'll get back into real estate.
Yes, good plan.
And I think that works well for us. You know, it's a different dynamic. It's something that I'm adjusting to because she's not in real estate. It's something she's adjusting to because she's not in it, and kind of she's with the kids more during the day.
Yeah.
But I do try to get home as much as possible
Yeah.
and help out.
Aw.
I think that's my job. That's my role.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have any like crazy stories of people requesting certain things for a home or anything haunted that you've ever experienced?
You do get that once in a while, like, what's the background on this? And it's like, you know, I've heard this, and I'll say, you know, I can't really say, is it haunted? We used to have a downtown Leesburg office as well. And the funny thing was, when you walked in the front doors, it was slanted, and there were stories that there were ghosts. And actually, this conversation came up, I want to say it was December, January timeframe. Somebody was a coworker of mine, was talking about a house that's haunted. And I was like, come on, seriously? And they're like, if you Google the address, there'll be some stories that are out there. But I've had colleagues and coworkers tell me some crazy things that happen. I've got a colleague that I think she's going to come out with a book. I think she needs to.
Oh.
I always say, how did these things always happen to you? And, you know, we're on a group text, and it's just like, hey, you know, here's just what happened to me. This is more of a you story than me, but it did happen. But, you know, it's nothing too
Crazy
that jumps out. I have had a coworker that he went to show a property, and he opened the door with his clients, and he heard somebody crying for help. And a woman had fallen in the shower,
Oh my
ended up breaking her hip, couldn't get out. So thankfully,
Yes.
you know, he was there. And I don't know how long she was there for, but I mean, you know, if he didn't show the house, I mean, how long would she have been there before help would have
Oh my
arrived? So it's weird, you know, you hear those stories, but nothing off the wall in my 20 years where I can say, hey, you know, there's been this situation. Because people ask me, like,
I had to ask.
well, it does come out, like, what's your craziest story? I'm like, kind of boring. I haven't had that, like, aha moment of, you know, this home, this happened here, or, you know, there's a ghost, it's cursed.
It's
you know,
cursed.
like, to me, no. I'm waiting for it to happen because I think it will at some point, but it hasn't yet. So nothing too.
Okay.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
No, it's okay. I had to ask.
But there are, you know, I do know stories from other agents that have happened. So, you know, my time will come soon.
Your time will come, yeah.
Hopefully it's nothing major.
Nothing major, knock on wood, exactly. Something cute and not scary.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And for anybody who's listening, what advice would you give them if they want to get their foot in the door to be a real estate agent? Like, give them some what not to do's and some good tips.
So I'll say, when I started out, I was in the corporate world, and I was just tired and bored of it. I was in a cubicle doing Excel spreadsheets, the same sheet 7, 10, 15 times. I'm like, this became the same thing over and over. Real estate's not like that. Every day is different. Yeah, you may be showing houses, but it's a different home. You're meeting different people. And I got it, you know, I'm a people person. I like to get out, I like to talk and have fun. And I think, you know, what worked for me is I grew up in this area, right? So when I was in the corporate world, I took my real estate classes at night, did all my hours, passed all my tests. I kept saving money. And then I saved up for 5 months, and I was like, boom, here we go. I'm in real estate. And it took me 4 months to get my first closed deal. So thankfully, you know, I saved up that money to add a cushion, got into it, but it just took off. And, you know, when you're into this, it's not kind of like what you know, it's who you know. So, you know, I relied on my high school friends, my college friends in the area, and then I networked, and then it's growing that business that way, and it's that repeat and referral business that just grows and grows and grows. The longer that you're in the business, the bigger your business should grow, because you're getting those repeat clients. The ones that bought the townhome, and then they have 2 kids, and like, we're too big now for the house. We need a single family. So let's sell it or keep it, depending on what they want to do.
Yeah.
If you can keep it, I always say, if you can keep it, and it makes sense, keep it. If not, sell it, take the money, put it down to the next one. But if you're going to get into it, you got to get into it for I think the right reasons. You are in a servicing business. You know, you are technically at your client's beck and call, per se. Like, obviously, I know agents that say, I work from 9 to 7. After 7, I don't answer my phone call. I work a little bit differently. If it's an important phone call, I'm going to return that message. I've sent out emails at 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been up all-nighters because I may have 3 or 4 listings coming on the market in the same week. So it's going to take more time out of me. And, you know, if I can spend some time with my wife and kids during the day, to know that I got to kind of sacrifice that at night. But you may be a single person, you may be married with no kids, you may just have a different dynamic, and you just got to be prepared. You get out of it what you put into it. And that's kind of like, I'll say, is if you're ready for it, it can be a great and fun business. if you're not, it can be a very expensive business that doesn't reward you. So we see agents, and again, 20 years, I've seen agents come in, get out. When the market gets really tough like it is now, we get a mass exodus of agents, not just locally, but, you know, nationally as well. But I think if somebody has a liking and a passion for houses, real estate can be a good business. And sometimes you start off, maybe it's part-time. Maybe you keep your full-time job because you got great benefits, you make good money, but you do it as part-time. But part-time can be hard because you can have those clients that need you during the day when you're working. So I always say 20 years full-time. That's my thing is, and I'm available when I travel. My phone, my laptop, my tablet come with me. If I'm out of town, I tell my clients, here's when I'm going to be gone. But here's my coverage. Here's who's covering me while I'm gone. And even when I do travel, I am still available. So I will respond. I check email in the morning. I may see it in the afternoon, but I definitely get it again at night. So I always stay in touch with my clients. You're going to get a response from me in 24 hours or less.
Wow. And I know you said like you used to take like 76, like
72 transactions.
72
Yeah, that was the most I ever had that closed. That
Yes.
was buyers, sellers, and then rentals. So I also do rental properties. So if you're a client of mine and you have that property that you want to keep as investment, I will put that on the market for you for rent. So I had 72 transactions 1 year, and I will honestly say I don't want to get like that again as an individual agent. Now, if I was to create a team, that might be a different story because then you've got some support.
Yeah.
But it was just a chaotic year. Yeah.
How did you have boundaries later on? Like, I know you said sometimes you hang out with your family, but if that means later on you got to take a call, you take that call. How do you balance those boundaries for yourself?
It is. It's a balancing act. It's like there's times where you can't take a call because you may be doing something with your family or your son or something that's going on like that. Or it's like, I really got to take the baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to run up to the office and take that phone call. You are in a servicing business and it will get at you. It will encompass you sometimes. But if you don't set certain boundaries, you're going to fail. And again, 20 years, you grow into it, the highs and lows. I think I'm in a great place right now. I've got my business that it builds on itself. But I really take great care of my clients. Later today, I've got a walkthrough with first-time home buyers. It was a great referral. They're both teachers in the county. They both coach sports in the county.
Okay.
And the very first time I met them, they just had a 6-week-old daughter. She grew up in the county. He's from out of the area, but she's like, I want to live here. I want to grow my family here. And so we're closing on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow actually. Yeah, so I have
Congrats.
another set of clients that 5 kids total that are all grown up and out, and now they're moving out of the area. And the family that actually got the contract on the home, they're getting married in June. They want to start a family. And in this community where they're moving, it's kid central. Like I actually pulled up to the house to drop off my brochures and my remove shoe sign and everything.
Yeah.
And I hit it at I say the perfect time, which could be the wrong time, is when that school bus got off.
Yeah.
And I just saw kid after kid. And I'm starting to count. There was like 43 children that got off that
You
bus.
counted.
I did, because I'm like, where are they all coming from? I didn't anticipate this many kids. And so for them coming in that community and they want to start a family, there's so many kids growing up. So I think that's a perfect house for these people to purchase. So my sellers got a wonderful offer, and I really think the buyers did too. They're going to have a good community, a good house to grow their family.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then just to wrap things up here, if you could leave one message for our listeners, what would that be? It can be in regards to anything, the world, real estate, life, family.
Whatever you do, whether it's work and life, just make sure that you're doing what's best for you and your family. Don't let the business, don't let something take you out of what your comfort level is. Know what your role is in life and what your role is in your job. And I think that way it'll balance you to work life family balance. And I think that's what I've had to kind of learn. Because again, I was never married up until 45, 46 years old. So coming up on my 5-year anniversary, and it was a curve. And I was like, I'm so used to doing what I needed to do when I needed to do it for my clients. Like I just went out the door. Hey, you want to see a house then? I'm
Let's
done.
go.
Right? Yeah. So now I'm like, hey, do you have anything planned? Do you have a doctor's appointment? Do the kids have any appointments? Like, do I need to hey, I can't go this time. Here's the hours I can go. So whatever business you're in, whatever your life situation is, it's do what's best for you and your family, and everything else will work around it. There's always going to be a job. There's always going to be that other thing that you can do another day or time. But I think it's, take care of you, your family, your kids, and then work will always be there. That's how I've been, again, corporate world for 7-8 years before I got into real estate.
Yeah.
It was great for me because it was a learning curve. it's not when I graduated college, it's not what my degree was in. None of my
No.
jobs have been in what my degree was in.
It's funny how that works.
It was who I knew. It was the first job I was in. I knew somebody. They got me in the door. I got the job. The next one, it was 3 guys from the gym that I was working out. Like, we're hiring. Okay. Went there. After that, it was a buddy of mine at AOL.
Wow.
And he brought me in. And then I was like, okay, cubicles wasn't my thing. Spreadsheets weren't my thing. I am a people person. I like to get out and have fun and talk. And I think real estate's the perfect.
I have to agree with that just by knowing you. Like, you're a people
It
person.
is. It's just, I like talking and having fun and laughing. And, I think it's the interaction because you meet so many different people from so many different places.
Yes.
And it's a great learning experience too.
And where can people find you? What's your website or Instagram?
It's easy. KevinLaRue.com. You can Google me. I'll pop up all over Google for either Instagram, Facebook. It's easy to get a hold of me. You just type in KevinLaRue.com or Kevin LaRue in Google, and you'll find me. You'll access me. I'm a social media guy. It's always Facebook, and then Instagram's taking off, right? I'm trying to how do you do reels and how do you do this? I'm like,
Yeah.
sometimes I hand my wife the phone because
There
she
you go,
knows
sweetie.
more about it than I do. But it's just another avenue. What's coming next? AI.
That's right.
So that's the next big thing that's taking over, not just real estate, but overall. But it is becoming a big avenue in real
Yep.
estate. So we're learning about AI. I've had some AI classes, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
excited to see what it brings.
Hope they offer that at school. But yeah, thank you so much for your time
No, I
and your
appreciate it.
knowledge. We really appreciate that.
It's a great time meeting with you
Yeah.
today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.